Hello, you extraordinary individuals. How is everyone's week starting out? I hope everybody is having a great starting day of the week and that you are anticipating positive things happening to you. So, yeah, we'll try that on and see what happens. Okay, so today we're going to be doing a WIP and chat. I'm going to be working on this canvas for Mermaids and Magic. I have 3 sections left. I did finish Craft Room Minnie Mouse while I was watching the Oscars last night, so she is complete. I'm almost finished with the 2 canvases that I'm doing for Gorgeous in Green. So yeah, I have 3 left on this one, and then I can get started on the little Easter basket dragon and the other pastel dragon that I showed you guys in a previous video. So that's my goal. Now, a couple housekeeping things that I want to talk to you guys about. So first thing is, for those of you that feel a need to correct everything I say, 2 things about that. Well, 3 things. First thing is, knock yourself out. If that makes you happy to do, you go right ahead and do it. Second thing about that is, it's going to be a full-time job. Third thing about that is, I do take medication for chronic pain that makes my word recall really difficult. In other words, the right words are in my head, but they don't always come out my mouth. Sometimes strange and unusual things come out my mouth, and I don't always catch it. Sometimes I catch it and I can correct it right away, and sometimes I can't. So, yeah, it's a bummer, but the alternative would be chronic pain so severe that I would most likely not be able to get out of bed in the morning, and I can't take all those wonderful opiates like some of you can. So I have to take what I can take, and unfortunately, the biggest side effect that I can't stand is that it makes word recall really tough. So, some days things go smoothly, and some days they just really don't. So, yeah, that's what happens. So, yeah, go ahead if that's what you'd like to do. Second thing is, I want to say thank you to all my new subbies. You guys are awesome, and I really appreciate it. It's not like you don't have many to choose from, especially if you're looking for diamond painting channels specifically. So, thank you, new subbies. Third, the next thing is I wanted to tell you is I'm trying really hard to get to 500, you guys. I'm so close. I'm getting there. I need about 60 more of you to come join the group. When that happens, I will be doing a contest with 3 opportunities to win. There will be a first place, a second place, and a third place. And I will talk to you more about that as it gets here. Well, I should say, and hopefully when it gets here. The only requirement is that you need to be subscribed prior to 601st subscriber. So 0 to 600 are going to be the people eligible for this particular giveaway. I'm sorry, 500. See what I mean, you guys? Perfect example. I just said 500, and then you see me go to 600. Wow. Okay. You have to be 0 to 500 to participate in the giveaway this go around. If I make it to 1,000, there will be a whole nother thing that we will do then. But for this one, you have to have been a subscriber by 500 subs or less. So if you've subbed in now, don't worry, you're clear. If you're the 601st, or I'm sorry, the 501st subscriber, ooh, thank you so much, and hang in there because you will be eligible for the 1,000 mark. Okay, so that's going to be happening. And again, as we get nearer to that, it might be a while, guys, who knows? We will talk more about that. So please do those YouTubey things and, like, subscribe, share. If you know anybody that would like to, get on board and just see what happens when we get to that point, please share the video and invite them to join us. Okay, so again, I'll be working on trying to finish up this canvas that I am working on for Mermaids and Magic, which is the event that Shay with Crafting with Shay is doing for the month of March. Now, my concern on this one, as I talked about this before in a video when I was showing you the current WIPs, I'm running seriously low on some drills, several of them. So I'm sweating it, guys. Now, these two particular sections are mostly color blocking, mostly colors that I will have enough of, although this purple lavender shading scares me. Same thing here. These colors that are in the dragon's wing and what's left of the dragon's horns, let me show you what I'm talking about. Okay. You can see, whoops, we are dangerously low on some of these colors, guys, because that's a lot of spots to put drills when you have that kind of a section. So yeah, so all of these there's very tiny amounts. I'm really hoping it will be enough, really trying to think positive that there will be plenty. Yeah, we're gonna run it through the goal line and see what happens. If it turns out not to be enough, then you'll probably hear me, I don't know, cry. I don't know, you'll hear something. Anyway, so if that turns out to be the case, I may be in some of your comment sections. Look at this one. Seriously? Seriously? Really? In your comment sections going, hey, do you have this number drill? Because if you could spare any, I'm on a hunt for some of these drills. Look at this beige, guys. Hardly any. So that's what we're dealing with. So hopefully it's going to be okay, but sometimes you don't know, right? And yes, for all of you people that are so worried about the orientation of what's on the camera, this is upside down and I am aware of it. It's on purpose because I'm working up here and this is the part of the canvas I want nearest to me. So yep, it's upside down. You're right about that. Okay, now, so we're going to talk about some stuff. I'm going to give you a couple updates and we're going to just trot along. I'm going to give you some dragon facts if we have time to do that. I hope so. And we're just going to, run through and enjoy this WIP and chat, hopefully. Also, for you all that are out there that, really enjoy the creepy horror genre, I'm going to tell you to run over to Dark and Creepy Diamond Painting and see what's happening over there. Mushy always has some cool stuff going on. Check her out. You also should check out a few more of the DP Along with Friends people, like Richard over at Real Men Craft 2 and Laura over at Crafty Chef Diamond and Eileen at Diamond Crafts by Eileen and Jack over at Diamond Painting with Jack. Really cool channels, really cool people. They do a lot of really interesting, fun stuff. They are going to be, with the possible exception of Mushy, all the rest of them are going to be hosting at least one event come this year to do with diamond painting along with friends. Next month, right now it's Richard. He's doing the MS for March Paint Along with Friends, and so that's what I was doing the Minnie Mouse canvas for. And next month, April, will be Eileen. She's doing wings and things. And I think that one's going to be all kinds of fun as well. So, yep, go check them out. Give them some love. I keep telling them that I have the best subs ever. So, yeah, don't prove me wrong now. Get over there and say hi to them. Learn what they do and see if you like it. All right. So, everybody, tell me in the comment section what you're all up to and how your week has started. I hope it started with a bang and nobody had a crummy day today at work, because what a bummer that would be already. I mean, seriously. So, yeah, let me know what's happening. What's going on in your life. all of my true blue subs that keep coming back and keep weighing in and giving me comments. Thank you for doing that. That's just, you know, I can't even tell you how much I appreciate it, how sweet you are, and how much I appreciate you. So, what's happening with you guys? From last time when I saw you, and let me move down here just a bit. And I was talking about my best friend, who's been in the hospital forever. Okay, well, since then, I did get an update on her yesterday. Unfortunately, there's no change. So I have a call into her doctor, and I'll keep you posted. I think, you know, I feel like we're at the point where we need to start looking at potentially sending her back to the tertiary hospital that shipped her over to the one that she's in now, or rounding out the people, the staff currently seeing her with some other doctors, or, you know, something, because weeks and weeks and weeks are going by. There's still no change, and that's ridiculous. So, I did send the doctor just a brief one-page letter saying, hey, you know, this is really not working out. You know, at what point are you going to fish or cut bait? Only I said it nicer, but you know, you guys know what I mean. I did say that I sent him pictures too. I sent him some pictures from when we took her to Vegas over, you know, back in June. And several of those, I think 4 of them. And I ended them with the ones that I took of her when I went to see her in January, with a trach tube in her throat hooked up to this awful vent and, you know, looking 40 years older than she is. And I basically said, you know, there's only 8 months between these 2 photos, and this is unacceptable, and I want you to make sure that, you know, we get her back, the healthy one, not the one laying in the bed at the moment that has had almost no change in weeks and weeks and weeks at a time. So it doesn't matter to me who he has to call, but he needs to call somebody that can assist or confer or something on this situation, because yeah, this isn't working. And I did tell him, you know, I did thank him for everything he's done, because I do believe that he's trying everything he can think of, but clearly it's not working, or not enough, or something. So she can't lay there forever. So yeah, we'll see. In the midst of all of this, you guys, I get a call from the hospital Wednesday morning. I'm sorry, Friday. What day was it? Friday morning. Letting me know that the heroin addict brother, who no one could get a hold of, managed to find out where she was. And the relative that reported her missing, that sent the police to my door, found the drug addict and funded him to drive all the way down here. And that should scare everybody, because he was absolutely under the influence driving down here, and not safe for anyone on the road. But anyway, how he made it through LA traffic stoned out of his mind, I don't know. Anyway, I got a call from them at about 10:45 in the morning letting me know that this person had shown up saying he was her brother and they didn't have him on the list, and he was acting weird and he was shaking her. Now here she is asleep, right? Sedated with a tracheostomy and the ventilator next to her, and he's shaking her, trying to wake her up. I mean, idiot. So first of all, I was annoyed that he got into the room and got that close to her. That's another thing, because if he had wanted to kill her, he certainly could have before they realized he was there. That was a problem, and I told the nurse that when she called me. My other issue was, how did he get past admissions when you couldn't verify who he is? apparently when he started shaking her and yelling at her to wake up, again, he's a buffoon and clearly doesn't see what's in front of his face because he's high most of the time. It attracted the nurse's attention because she didn't know who was screaming, or who was yelling in Lisa's room. So she went in there, and there he is. And she said, "Excuse me, who are you?" And so he said, "I'm her brother." Slurred his words really bad. And she said, "Yeah, I'm going to need you to step out into the hallway." So he did. And she said, what are you doing? And who are you? And why are you here? And what's the deal? And so he explained that he was her brother and he was there to see what was going on. And, we were after her money and just all this lunacy. And the nurse said, he was acting very strange. And we didn't know exactly what might be going on. I said, "I'm sorry." I said, "You're a charge nurse in the hospital and you don't know an addict when you see it? I'm finding that hard to believe." And she said, "Well, we suspected." But she said the whole thing was strange. He arrived here 2 hours before we allow visitors. I said, "Okay, well, that was the first clue." Because I said, had you called me then, I could have told you, do not under any circumstances allow him in the room, for sure. But I guess they were a little confused, weren't sure what to do. So they said, we didn't have any record of him or anything. And we said, you need to talk to Wendy because she's the only one we have listed. And he said, "Well, I don't talk to Wendy." And she said, "Well, then you need to go. Yeah, sorry, but we can't have you here disrupting the patients or hanging out in the hallway." So, and he said something about, he was going to go to her house and then he'd be back. I said, "Oh, well, thank you for letting me know that." So I told my husband, he'd been in the bathroom shaving. I said, "Finish getting dressed because we might be having a visitor." He goes, "What are you talking about?" So I explained it. And I said, this is not going to be good. So, he, of course, being retired military is it's okay. I have plenty of ammo for my .357. I said, no. We're not playing that game, but we are going to be ready to call 911 and make sure all the doors and windows are locked. And then if he actually gets in, you have my permission to do whatever you think you need to do to protect all of us. And meanwhile, I told my son's staff, "Don't come home until I give you the all clear. I will pay your overtime if there is any. I will let you know when you can return to the house. I do not want you or Jared here because there's a potential dangerous situation about to occur, and I don't want you to bring him back until I tell you to." She said, "Oh, okay, well, we're going to go to a movie. And I'll just keep him with me and just text me." I said, "Okay, thank you." Like I said, we're very blessed that right now we have really excellent staff people. And I was so happy to know that because, oh my God, if he'd had a substitute staff person on Friday, I would have lost my mind. I really would have, because that's just a whole other piece of the puzzle. So anyway, we're on a telehealth appointment. Sure enough, here he comes up the ramp to my door. We have a ramp up against the back door so that if I have my scooter or my husband has his walker and we need to bring him into the house for any reason, we have a way to get them in here. Because for those of you that don't know, mobile homes sit high up off the ground, usually between 1.5 feet and 2 feet. So you have to have a way to get up to the doorway, right? So that's what was happening with that. And I said, my husband, he knocked at the door loudly. My husband went to answer it. I said, "Do not open it very wide and be prepared to shut it fast." He's like, "I'm ready." I said, "Okay." So he opens the door a crack and he said, "Who are you?" And he said, "I'm Lisa's brother," although it sounded like, "I need a brother." He said, He goes, I want to come in. And he said, no, you cannot come in and you're not welcome here and you need to leave. And he went to slam the door and he tried to force it back open. But, you know, again, my husband's retired military and, you know, he's older, but yeah, he hasn't forgotten come along moves. And if you don't know what come along moves are, ask any law enforcement or Department of Corrections person and they will tell you what that is. So he was able to get the door shut and locked. I said, okay. I said, dial 911. And I told the telehealth person, you know, I'm sorry, we're going to have to reschedule because we apparently have an issue. And they said, is everything okay? I said, I don't know yet, but we're going to call the sheriff's department. If you want to call too and let them know that you were on the phone with us when an intruder came to the door, that'd be great. They said, yep, I'll do that right now. Okay, thank you. Here's the corker. So we called the sheriff's department. Well, we called 911, which in our tiny little itty bitty town rings to the only sheriff's department station that we have up here. And we talked to the dispatcher. We said, you know, we have an intruder trying to get into the house. Meanwhile, he's still talking and kind of, you know, soft banging, I would call it, on the door. Just talking to the door. Nobody's listening. Nobody's looking at him. He's just talking to the door. And so we're on the phone and the dispatcher's like, so there's an intruder now. We're like, yes, now. Could you please dispatch them here? And she's like, yeah, they are on the other side of the city. It's going to take a few minutes. I'm like, oh, Jesus. If he had gotten here with a weapon, the whole call would have been useless. We'd have been dead. Anyway, so the dispatchers, you know, I said, listen, this has to do with what happened when they came out here looking for a missing person last Tuesday. And yeah, this is the person and they really just need to get here. So, oh yes, they've been dispatched. Okay. So all of that went on, and so as we're talking to her, and she's asking 1,000 questions that really could have waited, but anyway, she said, you know, wanted to know, well, do you know who it is? Yes, we know. What's the person's name? Told her the name, gave her that information. She said, well, can you tell what he's wearing? Yep, here's what he's wearing. We described it. By then, he had moved over from the back door, to the kitchen window and is now yelling into the house, right? And she's like, is that him? We're like, it sure is. So I start recording him. My husband continues to talk to the dispatcher. So I walk over and literally put my phone right in his face. And I said, I'm going to tell you this one more time. We are on the phone with the police. You need to leave. Well, you need to tell the hospital it's okay for me to visit her. I said, nope, I'm not going to do that. Not in this lifetime or any other. Stay away from her. Stay away from us. Get in the vehicle that you're in and get out of here. So, and that was that. And then I decided I didn't want to stand in front of the window anymore because, you know, unpredictability of substance abusers, like you just never know. So I continued recording as I walked away and went into the living room where, you know, I was not in front of a window that he could access. So just went in there, and a few more minutes went by. My husband's still answering questions. Sheriff's Department's still not here. So yeah, he was here yelling and carrying on and being a buffoon. 12 to 15 minutes. They never did show up. Then we get a phone call from the sheriff that had come out here the time before on the missing person report. And he's like, hi, is the intruder still there? We're like, not anymore. It's been like almost 25 minutes. So, oh, no, he's gone. oh, okay, well, did you see what he's driving? We're like, well, no, because, we were in the house when he approached and he parked in front, so we don't know what he's driving, but I might be able to find out. So I contacted Lisa's other friend that's in Santa Clara County, California. And I said, hey, do you have any pictures of what Steven is currently driving? And do you have any kind of a license number on it? I said, he just left here. And she's like, are you kidding? I'm like, no. She goes, the hell does he want? So I told her, and she's like, I hope you told him he could stuff it. But she said other words. I said, yep, I sure did. I told him he wasn't getting in to see her, that she knew how to reach him if and when she ever got better and she wanted to chat with him, she would call him, but that he was going to be leaving her alone while she was in the hospital, period. So, yeah, the sheriff's department said, call us the minute he comes back if you see him. While we were on the phone with the sheriff, and I said, I did tell the hospital, I said he went to the hospital in LA first and made a nuisance of himself. They called me wanting to know what they should do because I'm the only contact. And I told them under no circumstances should they allow him to see her. Literally none. I made it clear that he is a heroin addict and has been for the most of the last 3 decades. And that there's nothing that he can talk to her about or need to talk to her about while she's in the hospital. So, yeah, they should not allow him to see her. And the sheriff said, but you don't have any paperwork giving you authority to do that. And I said, nope, I sure don't. I said, I didn't ask to be the one in charge of her medical care either. She told them that, and they just went with it. So that's where we are, and there's no one else to do it. The heroin addict certainly can't do it, and the uncle couldn't care less. He just wants to make sure there's money in the bank and that nobody's touching it. I don't know why he cares. He's not going to see any of it now or ever, so I don't know what that's about. But anyway, so yeah, the sheriff's department wants me to go talk to a lawyer, hire an attorney. Yeah, that'll be happening. And get the paperwork, get a letter from her doctor stating she is mentally and physically incapacitated, cannot care for herself, and get the legal document giving me permission to do it. And I said, well, here's the thing. We are on a fixed income. We do not have the money to retain an attorney. I mean, she does, but again, we have no access to her money, nor do we want it. And we're not in a position to do that. He said, well, you can go to the self-help legal clinic. Now, I will tell you guys, I've been to the self-help legal clinic in this county. When I tell you it's a joke, that's putting it nicely. So I said, well, we'll take it under advisement, because I was like, are you kidding me? So, yeah, so that's happening. So for now, he's not harassing her, at least I don't think so. Now, he might be trying to go to court in Los Angeles. I don't know, but she's not a citizen. I mean, not a citizen, not a resident of Los Angeles County. She's a resident here. So I don't know what he might be able to accomplish. I guess we'll be finding that out. In the meantime, I have her other friend in Santa Clara County keeping an eye out. I said, I need to know when he leaves the area. I found out where he's staying, what hotel he's at. He's in a hotel out by the airport, so we know where he is. The sheriff's department did say, yeah, I'd like to talk to him about some history I uncovered. And I said, oh, you found the rap sheet that's as long as your arm, did you? He's like, yeah, we need to have a conversation. I said, well, if I figure out where he is. In the meantime, this same friend on a Facebook post was able to find out what he's driving and has the license plate number in one of the photos. So I did forward that to the officer. I don't think they're going to do anything. I think we were lucky he didn't kill us because we would have had no help whatsoever. Now here we are. This is a home that has an elderly person and 2 disabled people and a veteran. And they didn't even bother to actually come to the door. So yeah, I was pretty disgusted about that. That's where we left that whole saga. So don't know what he's doing. I guess it depends on how long the uncle from New Jersey wants to fund his heroin use and try to get him to be cooperative. Good luck. His own mother and sister couldn't get him to be cooperative, so whatever floats your boat. So that's where that is. Now, I did contact my brother who, I mean, we have I'm going to call it a cordial relationship. But he's an attorney, an estate planning attorney. So I have a call into him. Of course, I've had a call into him all weekend and haven't really heard from him. But anyway, so I have a call into him to find out if I can get anything stating that, I can continue to take care of her medical issues without having to take on any of the responsibility for anything else. I don't want to be anywhere in her finances. I don't want to have any level of conservatorship. Okay, I'm a conservator for my son because of his special needs. And that's one thing. But and even with him, it's a limited conservatorship of the person only, because I won't get involved in his financial matters either, because here's what happens. If it's a full conservatorship and you end up being the conservator of the estate and the person, anything that happens with them financially, you can be held accountable for. So yeah, that's not going to happen because, well, I'm just not that stupid. So I have to find out if I can't just get, medical decision making, then I'm going to do nothing. I'm going to do exactly what I've been doing. If I can, then I will ask my brother if he can write up the paperwork, and then I will go ahead and pay to file the paperwork and ask for a hearing from the judge and see if I can get a legitimate order so everybody can just calm the hell down and relax, and we can continue to do, well, exactly what we're doing already. But yeah, the hospital knows and the police now know that there's nobody else that cares about her or is looking out for her in any capacity except me and the person who is several hundred miles away. That's it. So, I mean, you could not listen to us, but if anything happens to her, that's not going to look good either, now is it? So that's kind of where we've gone with this. So, yep, so I'm waiting to hear from my brother. I'm in a holding pattern. Checked on Lisa this morning. Her nurse said that she's sleeping. That's all she seems to do is sleep. And is, able to mouth words if she's in pain, or, she's able to answer that. But, other than that, just nothing's going on. And I don't know what to make of that. It's just so not like her. I can't even tell you how much this isn't like her. So I don't know if she's just whacked out that much on the medication, or if something else is happening. I have no way of finding out until the doctor calls me back. So yeah, don't you love a good holding pattern? I'm telling you. I don't wait well. I'm not a good wait person. I do not handle waiting because I'm a doer. I'm not a wait and seer. I'm not let's have 16 meetings about it. No. Let's do something about it or don't waste my time. So needless to say, the hardest thing for me to have to do is to just wait for other people to decide to do something. So yeah, that's fairly well killing me. It's affecting my sleep. It is affecting my appetite. It is affecting literally everything. So that's what's happening with that. But yeah, and I was so mad when he came to the door. But not only was he slurring his words and couldn't stay in one place and was completely agitated and was scratching his skin till it bled, all the typical stuff. But I'm like, he knows that I can't stand him at all. He has been a pain in everyone's ass since he was 5, and I knew him when he was 5. Okay, now he's 50 and he hasn't improved, okay? It was a bad situation from the get-go. And, yeah, it was just really sad. He was an angry, irritable, obnoxious, loud, pain-in-the-ass child. And now he's like that as an adult with a heroin chaser. So, yeah, he's a hoot. And it's a shame because, his parents literally tried everything. They got him into sports. They got him into therapy. They, got him into 4-H. They did everything that parents from the 40s were told that you should do when you have a kid that's got this kind of issue. None of it was working. Nowadays, it's a little different. They were starting to say things differently when I adopted my son, my middle son, who was a meth baby. They had other suggestions. But back then, when I was a kid and we were growing up, that's what they said, Be consistent, make sure they do their homework. Make sure if you have to punish them, that you're consistent. They'll grow out of it. All the crap. Because they really didn't know what to do. That's the bottom line. So, unfortunately, we have got so much drug and alcohol use in this society. And that's before you start talking about hereditary factors and environmental factors and the rates at which accidents of birth are happening. Again, let's not discuss the healthcare system because I might lose it. So, yeah, this is in addition to all of that. Sorry, where did it go? I saw some putty. Here we go. And, so yeah, it's been exponentially increasing the amount of kids that have been born with challenges. Okay. So people have had to figure out what to do because it's going to get to a point, and I've been saying this actually for probably 15 years now, that it's going to get to a point where the kids who need a different type of education and teaching are going to outnumber the kids who don't. And we're going to end up having regular education students in special classrooms and in special schools because the other ones are going to be full of kids that need extra help and services and attention and all of that. There's no real way around it. It's a natural evolutionary part of having a society and a healthcare system that runs like ours does. So it's, and here's the poor schools going, seriously? What do you want us to do? Nobody else knows what to do. Yeah, but you're going to have them 6 hours a day. You better find out what to do. So it was already starting to happen. Probably, when was the last time I did educational advocacy? Probably 7 or 8 years ago. I was still doing it and attending IEPs for people who had kids in special ed, and it was already happening then, and I would shake my head because I would go, ugh, I don't know how this is going to work. I really don't. The parents are angry, the school is angry, the medical community is angry, the insurance companies are really angry because it's costing them a fortune both directions. And there's just no answers. So everybody wants to restate the question and think somebody else is going to take care of it. I don't know how that's supposed to work, but anyway. So, yeah. And now here we are with unbelievable learning challenges on every school campus in every state of the union. It's a national issue, is what it is. So, and it's kids like this that, as it is, this will kill you too. I was a CASA, which is a court-appointed special advocate for foster children in this county that I live in for 5 years. And basically what that means is that you go into dependency court and you are a volunteer and you speak on behalf of the child. Because, you have the social worker. Okay, well, they're speaking on behalf of social services and they have an agenda and everyone knows it, including the judge. And county council comes into those hearings. They also have an agenda. And then the attorneys, if there are any, the attorney for the child for sure, also come in and they all sit on our side. Then the other side is the parents, their attorneys, doctors, whoever it is that they want to testify on their behalf, because they're trying to get their kids back and get their life together because the kids have been taken away. So what the judge can do, if there's any question or they feel like, wait a minute, something doesn't sound right, they assign a child to the CASA program. And their file goes in with a bunch of other files. And then when you become a CASA, because you have to go through 54 hours of training and you have to get a certification process, you have to be sworn in as an officer of the court. So there's a lot to it. Well, when all of that's finished, you can go to the CASA office, say, hi, I'm here. And they go, great, let's get you a foster child to help. And then they dump however many files are still waiting in front of you. And you're supposed to review them all and pick one you'd like to help. And that's literally how it works. So, and usually there's a stack of files, which actually made me nauseous when they were plunked in front of me, because I ended up counting them. I think there were 62 or 63 files that nobody had selected. They've been waiting all this time for a CASA and there wasn't one available. And you have not read more tragedy than you read in these files. And this is nonfiction, people. This is what these kids have been through already. Just what the county's been able to learn about the situation. Half of that isn't even true. Nobody knows for sure except the families involved. So that you can kind of guess where that goes. So yes, part of that training, though, is we lose 50%, okay? Half of our foster children we lose to incarceration or to a mental health facility within a year of their 18th birthday. Okay, that's a societal failure. We all know it. We've known about it for generations. Nothing changes. Why? Because everybody's overworked and underpaid, people. And we're losing them. We're losing them to prison and we're losing them to mental health hospitals. I mean, between 18 and 19 years old. The fact that never changed was one of the key factors as to why I got out of the program, because it literally turned my stomach. I could not continue to see it, especially when some of the answers to what should we do about this are not that difficult and they're not that expensive and they don't require additional people other than what's already there, and it still isn't done. So, yeah. But all of that to say, her brother is a prime example of what happens when you don't have what these kids need. He started going into the California Youth Authority. What was he, 12? I want to say he was 12. And, all that happened was, oh, poor thing. His dad's passed and he never has gotten over it. Oh, poor thing. Meanwhile, Lisa was trying to be, a bigger adult in the house because her mother had cancer. She was in stage 4 breast cancer treatment when her father died. My parents thought she was going to end up an orphan. So they said, well, We don't know what the heck's going to happen to Stephen, but we need to prepare that we need to take Lisa. Because her next closest relative was Colorado, and that meant she would have had to have given up literally everything. So yeah, for a while there, they had a very uncertain future. So, it was a tough time. And that was 1983. So yeah, well before 1990, he was already going in and out of juvenile hall. And then, oh look, he graduated to bigger jail. Great. So yeah, he learned how to be a very effective criminal while he was in there. And that's the shame that goes with when a kid ends up there, is they literally do learn how, if they weren't a criminal when they went in, they learn how to be one by the time they get out. So, needless to say, the situation has been tragic for a long time. Okay. Now, Lisa's 55 and Stephen is 50. Lisa's fighting for her life, and I still don't know whether or not she's going to win the fight. I literally don't know. That's more or less up to her and her body and whether or not she cares to fight anymore. So that's what I'm talking about. And that's why I keep telling the doctor, listen, we need to do something else, because as hard as you are, it's not making an impact. Nothing has changed. She has been tied to that bed and drugged out of her mind for nearly 8 weeks. And it's not helping her get off the ventilator, which she has to do before she can do literally anything else. So, yeah, let's see what else we can do, shall we? So that's kind of where that conversation is, and is going to continue to be when the doctor gets a hold of me, whenever that is, who knows. And nobody likes to be held to task. I don't know why. I love being held to task. You can hold me to task all day and I'm fine with it. Nobody else seems to like to be. And so, yeah, they don't like to call me for some reason. Wonder why. Anyway, so, yeah, the one thing that none of us needed was for the heroin addict to rear his ugly head. It's like, listen, he bought land in Texas. I was like, yes, please go to Texas and stay there and never return. That'd be awesome. So we were all kind of hoping that Lisa would finally be free of him. She could get her life together where she wasn't taking care of anyone, where she could literally start to live and figure out what she wanted to do with this chapter of her life. Nope. What ends up happening? He goes and takes a patient in critical condition and tries to shake her awake. Really? Yeah, it's a good thing I wasn't there. I might have gone to jail. Anyway, that's where we are with that. So yeah, like we weren't having enough excitement over all this and having to involve the police department. But then we had to deal with the brother. So yeah, gross, people. Really gross. So yeah. So as far as I know, he's still in a hotel near LAX. What he's doing, I don't know. I imagine there's some discussion happening amongst her relatives. So I guess I will find out. Either they will serve me with something if they decide to go that route, or the hospital will call me and say, he's back with paperwork and we don't know what to do. And so one way or the other, I will be made aware of what's happening. So stay tuned, everyone. I will keep you posted. But yeah, this is what happens when you try to do something nice for someone and people come out of the woodwork that haven't been out of the woodwork forever, and now they are. So yeah. That's happening. What else is happening? Anyway, that was my Friday. So that's how the weekend kind of started for me. That was exciting. I was looking forward to the Oscars. I haven't been watching very many award shows because they just, what's the word? They have become something that I don't enjoy nearly as much as I used to. So most of them I don't watch, but I always watch the Oscars. Mainly I watch the Oscars because it's something my mother and I used to do, and it gives me a chance to think of her, in a happy way. And yeah, we get to talk. Yeah, we used to talk about it, and we would discuss what everyone was wearing and, that kind of stuff. And I miss that. And it's hard for me not to pick up the phone and want to call her, But that's okay. I like to imagine wherever she is, she's watching it too. So I did watch that, and I didn't agree with a lot of the selections of people. I really wanted Lily Gladstone to win. So I was really upset about that. But anyway, and there were a couple of other people that I thought were seriously overlooked that I was sort of hoping would win. They didn't. Okay. But it was fun to see what everyone was wearing and what kind of speeches were made and how that looked and, what people said. And yeah, so, it was okay. It was fine. We watched it. It was all okay. Gave me a couple hours to sit and diamond paint while I was watching it. So yeah, it was all fine. That's all the news really that's fit to print around here. Fortunately, I don't have a whole lot going on this week. Well, I have a couple of things. As it turns out, the mortgage company that we tried to get the refinancing through, who told us, oh yeah, we can loan up to 55% of the original loan. Okay, well, that should be enough. Okay. Now they're going, oh yeah, unfortunately, yeah, your budget's a problem because you don't have enough money. Yeah, tell us about it, right? So we said, okay, well, here's the thing. If we can't get this roof fixed, one of these storms, maybe the one that's coming next, actually, is going to cause the roof to actually fall through. When that happens, it will be non-habitable, and we will be homeless, and you will not be getting a mortgage payment, nor will you be able to offload the property by selling it because massive damage. So it behooves all of us to be able to make the appropriate repairs to the property so that we can stay here, you can keep getting your money, and life goes on. And they went, oh, well, let us look at it and see what would have to happen to your budget in order to qualify, and we'll call you. Okay, sounds like a plan. That has been, I want to say 8 or 9 days ago. Nothing but crickets. So we're going to have to call them and go, hi, remember us? And see if we can get a straight answer. Who knows? I mean, really, they could care less. If we stop paying the mortgage, then they will probably pay attention, but they will also probably decide, oh, well, we need to foreclose. Good luck to you. Again, you're not going to be able to unload this house. We haven't even told them yet that the plumbing was due to go up in flames 2 years ago, and we had been on borrowed time with that ever since the flood happened that our insurance covered. So, yeah, that's another conversation we need to have. I don't know exactly how it's going to go, but that's on the agenda. Other than that, kind of a slow week, which is nice. I like a slow week after a complicated week. Really, I like a slow week in general because I've had a complicated life. And I really like the fact that I've earned the right now to have some moments of boredom, because I really want to be bored. I've never been able to be, and I would really like to try it. That's where we are. So anyway, what is everyone else up to? What are you guys doing? Anything interesting? Anything going on where you live? Anybody have Easter plans? You gonna see family? You gonna stay the heck away from family? What are you gonna do? I'd like to hear what you guys are up to also. What else is happening? So I did find a couple of interesting dragon facts. I think I already told you guys that a dragon that just has 2 legs and then wings is a wyvern, and dragons with 4 legs and wings are an actual dragon. Also, a wingless dragon, and I'm not entirely sure exactly what they mean by wingless, but a wingless dragon is called a drake. So that was interesting. A young dragon is called a worm, W-Y-R-M. So that was interesting. There has been mythology about dragons in virtually every culture. Has some kind of winged serpent mythology from the 5th century. That's number 5. Do you guys realize how long ago that was? Yeah, been around a long time. Dragons are considered reptiles. So there's that. Those of us that have reptiles think that's kind of cool. You know, I think I probably have mentioned it. I know you guys have seen Finn, one of my bearded dragons, in another video. So I actually have 4 bearded dragons. 2 were mine and 2 that I rescued that were so close to death. It was awful. I wasn't sure they'd make the ride home. But now they're here and beautiful and gorgeous and thriving, and I love all of them. They're wonderful, wonderful animals. You know, and they do take some specialized type of care. So if you do that, they're really not that hard to take care of. But you have to do what they need. You can't just say, oh, I don't feel like it, or, oh, the bulbs are too expensive, and just not do it. No, you have to do it. So, yeah, there's that. But, yep, I have 3 male dragons. I have Finian, who you've met. He's my mommy's boy. He's the oldest and the sweetest, most adorable dragon ever. And I adore him. And he's the reason the other 3 ended up here, because he's just so precious and I adore him so much. He will be 9 this month. Oh, I can't believe that. He was about 13 or 14 months old when I got him. So he was already an adult, but yeah, he was young. And so yeah, so I've had him 8 of what is now his 9 years. He's just been wonderful. I cannot talk about him highly enough. He's so much fun. And like most bearded dragons, I mean, people, for God's sake, if you're going to have a dragon, be original about what you name them. If I see another bearded dragon named Spike, I will throw up. I mean, seriously, it's ridiculous. All of them were Spike. All of the males I got in this house were Spike at one time or another. One of them also was Henry. But yeah, they all start out as Spike, which is so stupid. Like, come on, people. So yeah, so I have Finian. And he's about to turn 9. I have Smolder. Smolder used to be Henry. He is 6. He'll be 7 late spring. He's adorable, very sweet also. Was very fearful. You know, belonging to a child is a terrible thing for an infant, for a hatchling or a juvenile lizard. It's just awful. They do not know how to pick them up. They don't know how to hold them. They end up grabbing at them, which is hurtful. You hurt them, and they have no way of telling you. And then what ends up happening is they get a little bigger, and people go, oh yeah, they don't like to be held. Yeah, no, that's not true. They don't like to be smashed and squeezed and grabbed. That's what they don't like. So yeah, we had to work through some fearful stuff. And most of the dragons, when they come into this rescue, have to have some rehabilitation. It just goes with the territory. And I know that going in, and that's okay with me. They're usually malnourished. They're usually sick or injured or both. So, yeah. So everybody that got here had some rehabilitation to go through. Finian wasn't much. I mean, he basically had people that knew how to take care of a reptile, but they ran out of time to be able to take care of him. So he was more a rehome so that he wouldn't be neglected. They did what was best for him, which was to rehome him, and I appreciated that. They also had an iguana, which also needed to be rehomed. I said, no, I'll take the dragon. I'm not really an iguana person. And then they had some geckos, and I think they ended up keeping the geckos. Geckos, leopard geckos specifically, sleep during the day, so when they were awake, they were home for the day. It was the others that were kind of suffering because one was working and then was going to school. The other one was working, and then they had a sick relative they were caring for in the evenings, and so nobody was home for the dragon. And bearded dragons are not something you can just throw food in the enclosure and they'll just be fine. No, they have social emotional needs that you have to remember to cater to. So they went, yeah, this isn't really fair. We can't just, be around on the weekend and expect that to be enough care for him. So they brought Spike over here, who became Finian, or Finn for short. And it suits him much better. He's definitely my little Finn. I named him after a character in Finian's Rainbow, which is a very old movie that I saw as a kid that I loved because it had leprechauns in it and magic and, just all kinds of stuff. And I thought, boy, if I ever have a son. Fortunately, my sons managed to escape it. So they're not named Finn. But I've known a lot that are. A lot of Finleys, a lot of Finnegans, which is not the same as Finian, which is what I have. So yeah, there's been a lot of guys and a lot of girls named Finn from one capacity or another. So, but yep, that's where I got my little Finian. And he's been just outstanding. He's been such a wonderful little dude. I adore him. The nice thing, too, about bearded dragons is, they are happy to sit and watch TV with you, or they're happy to stay in their enclosure and bask under the light, and either way, they're fine with it. It's not like, you have to take them outside and walk them in bad weather or anything like that. No. They're diurnal, like we are, so they sleep when you sleep. And nobody's trying to keep you awake all night long because that's when they're, mostly awake. Nah, none of that. So they don't lose their tail, which is a nice factor because, I don't know, I hate that when that happens, when lizards lose their tail. It's just, so distressing. Imagine being so stressed out you drop a body part so you can run away. I mean, that level of desperation, don't want to have to do that. So, yeah, they don't do any of that. They are by nature very docile. They have teeth. Yes, they do. They have teeth kind of like a whale's teeth, where it's like a bony plate with little triangular serrated teeth. So they can bite, but they don't. I mean, why? What would be the point of biting? As far as they're concerned, they give us a fair shake. They just want to be part of our world, and they're curious. Their curiosity sometimes gets them into trouble. It's the nature of how they are. But yeah, they just would like to understand us and be part of our world and be taken care of and be loved on and all of that. That's really all that they're looking for, which is why when I see people mistreat them, I cannot stand it. I literally cannot stand it. I cannot stand it when people don't do what these poor little things need and they don't give them their calcium and they end up permanently disabled because their bones didn't form correctly. Now they've got metabolic bone disease and they can hardly walk, and yeah, can't stand it. So that's why I have 4 dragons, and I wasn't searching for 4. I just couldn't stand it. I knew if I left 2 of them that would be it. They would be dead in a week or less. So now they live here doing all their things like happy little dragons do. So yeah, Smolder is my next little guy. He's actually my newest acquisition. I haven't had him quite a year, but almost. His name was Henry after it was Spike, but before it was Smolder. And belonged to a kid. Kid's family was moving to Japan. Didn't want to take an animal that had to be in quarantine. Was looking for a home. And so I had taken another of their dragons a couple of years before that. And they knew that I was out there. They had an extra tank I was looking to buy. I was looking to upgrade Ruby's tank, and I found one, and it happened to be their phone number. So yeah, I was really happy. They gave me a really good price on the tank, and they said, hey, we're moving to Japan. Can you take the other dragon? Whoa, wow, really? Yeah, could you? Well, I suppose what am I going to say? No, give me the tank and go away? No. I said, I'm sure I can find a place for him. When are you going? Well, we're going in like 3 weeks, but yeah, could you take him now since you're taking the tank? And I went, oh God. And I had taken Ruby so that they could see her because they hadn't seen her since I had picked her up and, the last time I saw them. And so I had her with me, but I didn't bring any other carriers, and you can't put them together. So I thought, well, gosh, what am I going to do about this? So I said, yeah, I can, but I wasn't aware that you were wanting to, rehome now, and I didn't bring any other carrier. Do you have a shoebox or anything? And I said, yeah, we can do that. I said, oh, okay, well, I guess I can take him now. So I did. He is very sweet, but he definitely was very skittish. He's come a long way. He's losing a lot of that skittishness. But I did notice when he came out, this was his first brumation. Now, again, he's 6 years old, and this is his first brumation, which means he didn't do it for 4 years. I suspect it's because he did not have enough nutrition to feel like he could sleep for several months and be okay. And so he stayed awake. But he sure slept here like a little rock. He did 159 days and woke up happy little camper, except I noticed that he did have a little bit of regression. We had done a lot of rehab and a lot of training before he went to sleep, but he was asleep as long as I had him before he went to sleep, and I think he just had to reacclimate and figure out, oh God, where am I again? What am I supposed to do? Who are these people? But now he's back. He's been up for a while, and so now he's more like himself. And he is very sweet, but he's not very trusting. I mean, you have to earn his trust, but he's not at all vicious. He never has been. He's never tried to bite me. He's never tried to do any of that. It's just sometimes he would rather hide or, let me just go behind this fake bush that I have in my enclosure so I don't have to interact. That kind of stuff. But yeah, he's not aggressive, which is nice. It's very unusual to have an aggressive bearded dragon. You have to be pretty awful to them to have them become that. So, but people do things that they think are funny, that are not funny, that are terrifying to their dragons, or that are, you know, something that makes the dragon, you know, doesn't know what's going on, or makes them nervous, or makes them scared, or something they just plain don't like. And then, you know, they're laughing hysterically. Meanwhile, the dragon's like, okay, if I could figure out how to get away from here, you'd never see me again. And that has happened. I mean, dragons have a tendency to show up either because people are so gutless that instead of finding somewhere for them to be when they have to rehome them, I don't know why they can't figure out, just go to a shelter and just say here and walk out. If you let them go outside, it's a death sentence. They're either going to die of exposure or by predation very quickly. So really and truly, you don't ever do that. Take them to a shelter. They may try to talk you out of it, but you don't have to stay. Just say, I can't take care of them anymore. I have to move, whatever it is, and just walk out. Like, believe me, they'll call a rescue like mine or someone else's, and they will find a home for them. Don't open the door and let them out. This is not Australia in any sense of the word. So that has been known to happen, though, that, you know, bearded dragons show up weird places. And you know it's because somebody let a pet go. Or a pet escaped somewhere that they didn't want to be. And they're now trying to figure out what to do on their own. Because, you know, again, they're not native here. They're native to Australia. So they didn't just appear here. Some human did something stupid, and now they're running around outside trying to avoid birds of prey and large dogs and what all else that will eat them. So, yeah. But yep, they're very cool animals. Really cool. And they're a great size. You know, full grown, they're about a pound, sometimes a little more. And they're normally between 22 and 24 inches long. So they're, you know, that's nose tip to tail. So, you know, they're just a good size and precious, just as sweet as they can be. The problem with that a lot of people have is they do eat live prey. So you have to know that you're going to have something for them to eat, some worms, some bugs, whatever you're going to have for them, you're going to have. And you want to get it where it's, you know, where it's farmed, either through the mail or at the pet store. Do not feed, you know, insects you catch in your yard, because pesticides are not good for your dragon. And if you catch a wild insect, it could have picked up pesticide from anywhere and is now going to make your dragon sick. So that's just a few tips in case you happen to run across one of these beautiful lizards. But yeah, otherwise, really incredibly sweet little creatures. So yep, so I have Smolder, and he used to be, like I said, Henry, and then when we were coming home, he's a very intense shade of red. And maybe I'll show him to you guys at some point. But because he's one of these, you know, intense shades of red, we're driving home and my son says, Mom, he's the color of smoldering embers. Oh, yes, he is. You're right about that. I think we should call him Smolder. I like it. It sounds like a name to me. So that's how he got his name. So yeah, so I have Smolder. And then my other guy I have is my little Merlin. Merlin is the youngest dragon in the house. He's going to be 4 in July. I got him as a juvenile. He was 3 grams when I got him. Now he is 673 grams. He is a big boy. He's the biggest dragon in the house. And I mean, he was so tiny. You would not believe that he became this huge creature that you see. But yeah, he's pretty amazing. He's also a red dragon. A typical red, not like, you know, an intense red or a color you don't see that often. You see it. Both Smolder and Merlin are reds. And Ruby was a red too, and now she's yellow. I don't know, yellow and gray. It's kind of interesting. And Finn is a normal, which means he's gray too. So anyway, so I got to get a hold of Merlin when he was just a hatchling, which was fantastic. He was only 10 days old when I brought him home, which was great because that meant I got to give him his nourishment and his supplements, and yeah, he got to be this gorgeous creature that I now have here in this tank. So yeah, he's a big goof though. He's very hormonal because he's the youngest. So yeah, he is just full of himself. He thinks he's all that in a bag of chips. And he kind of is, you know. So yeah, so I have Merlin. And then last but not least, I have my little Ruby. She was one of the sickest dragons I've ever seen. She was 2 years old when we went to get her. The same house where we had Smolder from. They said he was a boy. And they had named him Gobi. Ugh, like the desert. I'm like, no. Well, at first when they said that that the dragon was 2 years old, that I knew something was off because she was about the size of a 5 or 6 month old juvenile. And I was like, oh God. So I looked her all over and I said, do you know that this dragon is a female? And they looked at each other. Are you sure? Yeah, sure. Oh my gosh, they told us at the pet store it was a boy. I said, They always say that because they can't tell. First of all, you can't tell a dragon's gender by sight until they are about their teenage era, which is, you know, that 8 to 10 month old frame. Well, they sell them out before that. So they have no idea. They're just saying it's a male because most people will buy a male because it's less of a problem than a female. So I said, nope, this is definitely a girl. And yeah, they were surprised. So, but yeah, she was very weak and very lethargic. And I wasn't sure she'd make it home. First thing I did was change her name. We were not going to be Gobi. That wasn't going to happen. So, and I let her pick. I wanted to name her Phoenix because I wanted her to rise from the ashes and become the beautiful queen that she was meant to be. And so, but nope, she had no desire whatsoever to be named Phoenix. I'm like, okay, now let's pick something else. And she was laying in the back of a carrier that I had taken that, oh God, she was just a little spot of a dragon. I felt so bad. And I told my husband, I said, I don't know if she's going to make it home. So let's go direct because she needs food, she needs water, and she needs ultraviolet light, and she needs it now. So we did. We came straight home, and she did make it. And while she was in the carrier, I said, what about Ruby? And she raised her head, and she looked at me. I said, you like that one? So I said it again. And she stood up a little higher. I'm like, okay, sold. And she has been Ruby from that day forward, and she still answers to it. So, and Ruby is going to be 5 next month. And she has become quite the egg layer. She's beautiful and huge and has the most beautiful tangerine colored beard. I just love it. And it's like frou-frou at the end. It almost looks like she took a curling iron to her beard. It's the funniest thing. So yeah, so that's all 4 of my dragons. And though I loved dragons in general prior to their arrival here, they cemented it for me. All things dragon are okay in this house. So yeah, that's the story of how they all got here. I had a couple more. I've had 4 other dragons. I lost 2 of them, 2 that I could not save, which destroyed me and almost sent me out of rescue because that was so awful. It's a terrible feeling when you lose one, especially one that I tried for a year to save him, and he tried so hard, but it wasn't enough. his immune system had been so damaged from the neglect he had faced that I couldn't save him no matter what I did. He hung on as long as he could, and so did I, and he finally just couldn't do it anymore. And oh, that knocked me for a loop. I was devastated for a long time. That was my little chimera. And oh God, he had been so badly neglected. It was awful. So that was awful. Then I had little Saturn, who I was able to find a forever home for. He has a 15-year-old girl all his own, and that's great because she adores him and he adores her, and it's all good. So that works out. And then I had Hunter. He was here for a while, but he was one of those dragons that was aggressive, bit my husband, did all kinds of stuff. We still don't know exactly why. I mean, he seemed okay in the car, and we got home, and he was awful. I mean, from that moment forward, he was awful. I don't know if he hated his tank. I don't know if he didn't like our house. I don't know what his deal was, but he absolutely hated it. I ended up rehoming him to someone that really liked him and that he seemed to like and get along with, and you know, he wasn't stressed out anymore, so that was a good thing. And then I had Kingston. We had him for about a year. He was another very sweet old soul of a dragon. He was just an old soul, you could just tell. And so we had him for about 18 months, and then he got an upper respiratory infection, and the antibiotics didn't work, and before we could put him on a different one, he passed. So that was truly awful as well. So yep, there have been a few in and out, but I think the ones now are going to stay. I think that they're going to be living here, you know, to live out their lives. And mainly because they do have a couple of special needs that I would feel weird about somebody taking and then not knowing what to do about it, you know. So yeah, guys, so that's all the news around here that's fit to print. So thanks for hanging out for a few minutes. I really appreciate it. Again, let me know in the comments what all of you are up to. And I will keep you posted on what gets completed around here, and God forbid what doesn't. And we will talk again. The bark machines are awake, as you can hear. So, okay, guys. Now remember, always be a dragon. Stretch your wings out. Spread them out. Protect those you love. Have fiery passion. Be strong. Slay your fears. And always rise up and soar. All right, guys. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye-bye.